The text arrived while I was bent over a microscope at 2 a.m., analyzing tissue samples that might hold the key to reversing early-stage Alzheimer's. After discussion, the family has decided it's best if you don't attend Christmas this year. We want to create an environment focused on success and achievement. Perhaps once you move past this research phase and into actual medicine, we can reassess. Catherine. I read it 3 times, each word a precise cut. My mother-in-law had actually uninvited me from Christmas via text message, like I was a problematic +1 to a wedding. I shouldn't have been surprised. 4 or 5 years since marrying James, I'd endured their special brand of intellectual snobbery. The Ashford family collected achievements like trophies. James's brother was a federal judge, his sister ran a Fortune 500 company, and his father had served 3 terms in Congress. In their eyes, my little lab work was an extended student phase I'd eventually outgrow. Still playing with petri dishes? Judge William had asked at last Christmas, chuckling over his brandy. Still trying to cure cancer? CEO Victoria had added. So adorable, like a child wanting to be an astronaut. I tried explaining my research, how we were mapping the protein misfolds that triggered neurodegeneration, how our findings could revolutionize treatment for millions. Their eyes had glazed over before I finished my first sentence. But when will you have a real practice? Catherine had interrupted. The Weatherby's daughter just became head of pediatric surgery at Johns Hopkins. Now that's meaningful work. Meaningful work. As if the 18-hour days in my lab meant nothing. As if the patients desperately waiting for treatments were insignificant. As if the breakthrough we were so close to achieving was just a hobby. I set down my phone and returned to the microscope. Sample 847 was showing unusual protein activity. My hands trembled slightly as I adjusted the focus. After 5 years of systematic testing, of failure after heartbreaking failure, this sample was different. My lab partner, Dr. Sarah Kim, burst through the door at 5 a.m. Lena, did you see the results from yesterday's trial? The patient's in Stockholm. I haven't checked yet, I admitted, still focused on the sample. But look at this. She peered into the scope, then stumbled backward. That's impossible. The proteins are actually refolding correctly. Lena, do you realize what this means? I did. It meant everything we'd theorized was true. It meant Alzheimer's might not be the irreversible death sentence we'd believed. It meant millions of people might keep their memories, their identities, their families. Run it again, I said, my scientist's caution warring with wild hope. Triple-check everything. The next 72 hours blurred together. We repeated every test, verified every result, called in colleagues to confirm what we were seeing. The data was consistent. We'd found a way to reverse the protein damage that caused Alzheimer's. I hadn't told James about the Christmas text. He was in Shanghai on business, and I didn't want to distract him with family drama. Besides, I was too consumed with the work to dwell on Catherine's rejection. December 23rd. James was due home that evening, and I'd have to explain why we wouldn't be driving to his parents' estate in the Hamptons. My phone had been silent for days. Even James's siblings had stopped their usual pre-Christmas group texts. I was preparing to leave the lab when my desk phone rang. The caller ID showed an international number. Dr. Lena Peterson? The accent was distinctly Swedish. Yes, this is Dr. Lars Anderson from the Nobel Committee for Physiology or Medicine. I'm calling to inform you that you have been awarded this year's Nobel Prize in Medicine for your groundbreaking work in neurodegenerative disease reversal. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of my desk. What? Your research into protein refolding and the successful human trials have been reviewed by our committee. The formal announcement will be made in 1 hour, but we wanted to notify you personally first. Congratulations, Dr. Peterson. You've changed the future of medicine. The Stockholm trials, I whispered. They worked. 18 patients with early-stage Alzheimer's. After your treatment, 17 show complete reversal of symptoms. The 18th shows significant improvement. Dr. Peterson, you've given them their lives back. The phone slipped from my numb fingers. Sarah caught it, speaking rapidly in Korean-accented English to the committee while I stood frozen. My cell phone began buzzing. Once. Twice. Then an explosion of notifications that didn't stop. Sarah ended the call and threw her arms around me. Lena, you did it. You actually did it. The youngest Nobel laureate in medicine in 40 years. I looked at my phone. Hundreds of messages, missed calls, emails. The news had broken. Among them, a text from Catherine. Lena, there seems to be some confusion. The news is saying, this must be a mistake. Call immediately. Another from Victoria. Is this real? The NYSE is going crazy. Biotech stocks based on your research. From William. The Chief Justice just called me about you. What's happening? And from James. Lena. I'm at the airport in Shanghai, and you're on every screen. Is this real? Are you okay? I'm getting on the next flight home. I sat down heavily, overwhelmed. 5 minutes ago, I'd been uninvited from Christmas for being unsuccessful. Now, my phone rang. Catherine. Don't answer, Sarah advised. Let them stew. But I was raised to be polite, even to people who'd dismissed my life's work. Hello, Catherine. Lena. Thank God. We've been trying to understand. The Nobel Prize? But you just work in a lab. Yes, I said simply. I just work in a lab. But this is impossible. You're 35. You can't win a Nobel Prize at 35. Apparently I can. The news says you've cured Alzheimer's? Her voice was climbing octaves. That can't be right. You said you were doing research. Research that led to a cure, I clarified. Though cure is a strong word. It's a treatment that reverses early stage. The president just tweeted about you. She interrupted. The actual president. Lena, we need to manage this. As a family. Together. Funny, I said, pulling up her text. Because according to this message, I'm not welcome at your family Christmas. You only want achievers at your table. The silence stretched so long I wondered if we'd been disconnected. That was a misunderstanding, she finally managed. Obviously, you're expected for Christmas. The whole family wants to celebrate. No. Excuse me? No, I repeated. I'm not coming to Christmas. I have 17 patients in Stockholm who are spending their first clear-minded Christmas in years because of my little lab work. I'll be video calling with them instead. But the family that hasn't asked about my research in 5 years? The family that called me unsuccessful this morning? That family. Lena, be reasonable. This is a moment for the Ashfords. The Ashfords? I laughed. Catherine, I haven't published under my married name. Every paper, every patent, every breakthrough is under Dr. Lena Peterson. The Ashfords had nothing to do with this. Another call was coming through. The lab's main line. I have to go, I told her. The Secretary of Health and Human Services is calling. Something about fast-tracking treatment availability. Lena, wait. I hung up. The next hours were surreal. Interviews with major networks, calls from world leaders, messages from patients' families thanking me for giving them hope. The lab filled with flowers, champagne, colleagues from around the world. James arrived at midnight, still in his Shanghai suit, looking wonderfully disheveled. He pushed through the crowd and wrapped me in his arms. I'm so proud of you, he whispered. And I'm so sorry about my family. You saw the text? Mom forwarded it to me, asking me to talk sense into you about Christmas. He pulled back to look at me. I told her we'd be spending Christmas with someone who actually values what you've accomplished. My grandmother. She's 93 and sharp as a tack. She called me crying with joy. Said she'd been terrified of ending up like her sister with dementia. You've given her hope, Lena. You've given millions of people hope. My phone buzzed with another text from Catherine. The Times wants to do a family profile. We need you here for photos. This is not a request. I showed it to James. He took my phone and typed. Dr. Peterson is unavailable for Ashford family publicity. Direct all Nobel Prize-related inquiries to the Karolinska Institute. Mr. Lena Peterson. Did you just sign as Mr. Lena Peterson? I laughed, exhausted and giddy. Absolutely. It's the only Ashford achievement that matters, marrying you. He kissed my forehead. Now, how about we go home? You have a Nobel Prize to accept and patience to save. Christmas with my parents can wait. Forever, if you want. As we left the lab, my phone rang once more. William, the federal judge. Lena. His voice was smaller than I'd ever heard it. I wanted to apologize. My mother has early-stage Alzheimer's. We haven't told anyone. Your work. It means she might remember my children growing up. I'm so ashamed of how we've treated you. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of the moment. William, I'll make sure she's in the first treatment group. Not because she's family, but because no one should lose themselves to this disease. After how we acted. Science doesn't hold grudges, I said. Even when scientists have every right to. Christmas morning, instead of sitting at the Ashfords' formal dining table being diminished over glazed ham, I sat in my pajamas video calling with 17 patients in Stockholm. Maria, 67, played piano for the first time in 3 years. Eric, 71, read a story to his granddaughter. Astrid, 69, recognized her husband and cried for 20 minutes. "You gave us our lives back," Maria said through tears. "How do we thank you for that?" "Live them," I said simply. "Live them fully." James sat beside me, holding my hand, as patient after patient shared their joy. This was success. This was achievement. This was meaningful work. My phone showed 57 missed calls from various Ashfords. The family that had uninvited me from Christmas was now desperate to claim connection to a Nobel laureate. But I was too busy watching miracles to care about their approval anymore. Later, the Nobel Committee would say I gave the shortest acceptance speech in history. This prize belongs to everyone who believed in the impossible and to everyone who kept working when the world called them unsuccessful. Science doesn't care about your family name or your dinner invitations. It only cares about the truth. And the truth is, we are all one breakthrough away from changing the world. The Ashfords sent a massive flower arrangement to the ceremony. The card read, "Congratulations to our beloved daughter-in-law." I donated it to a Stockholm nursing home, where patients with advanced Alzheimer's, the ones my treatment couldn't help yet, could enjoy their beauty. Because success, I'd learned, wasn't about being invited to the right tables. It was about building tables where everyone, memories intact or not, had a place.